Hello all, welcome to UPSC with Sukumar. So in this video I will explain you the concept of structure of atmosphere. So actually when we see the atmosphere is divided into different layers, right? Those layers are troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere and the exosphere. So if you see these different layers, the first one immediately after the surface of the earth is the troposphere, and then comes the stratosphere, then comes the mesosphere, then thermosphere, and then the last one is the exosphere. So initially we will understand about the layer of troposphere. So what is this troposphere? Troposphere, it is immediately above the earth's surface. Everything that we feel, rain, wind, clouds, cyclones, even fog, everything will happen in this troposphere. The height of the troposphere is around 8 kilometers at poles, and when you see at the equator it is around 18 kilometers. Why this difference of height of the troposphere varying between poles and equator? Because equator is getting the lot of heat energy directly from the sun, and when you see poles it will receive less amount of heat than the equator does. So because of the heavy heat in the equator, the air in the equator region will expand, by which the troposphere also bulges upwards in the equator region, right? And there is a dividing line between troposphere and stratosphere. That line is called as the tropopause. And when you see the troposphere also, the temperature with the increasing altitude, that means with the increasing of height from the surface, will decrease with an average rate of 6.5 degrees centigrade per kilometer, and this decrease is called as the positive lapse rate. And the tropospheric layer is also called as the convective layer. Why? Because the rising and sinking of air will happen in this particular layer. When the air of a particular region gets heat, the air will become lighter and it will expand, and it will start rising to the upper layers as well, that specific air. So by the time it is reaching the upper layers, or by the time it is reaching the higher altitudes, the temperature will decrease and the air will become cool, and then it will start sinking again. Because of these reasons we call this tropospheric layer as convective layer also. Okay, and immediately after the troposphere we can see the stratospheric layer, and the line or the boundary between this troposphere and the stratosphere is tropopause. Now we will understand the stratospheric layer. So the stratospheric layer is present between 12 kilometers to 50 kilometers from the surface of the earth's altitude. And after the tropopause only we enter stratosphere. Here when we see, the temperature by increasing altitude in the stratosphere will increase. Why? Because there is a layer called ozone layer present specifically in the stratosphere. What this ozone layer does is, it will absorb the UV radiation that is coming from the sun, and because of the absorption of the sun's radiation, it is getting heated and which in turn emits the energy, heat energy. That's why we are seeing the difference of increasing of temperature when we are reaching higher altitudes. So suppose this is stratosphere and this is the ozone layer. So this is absorbing the heat energy coming from sun, and it is getting heated and it releases the energy right after getting heated. And because when we are going to the higher altitudes in the stratospheric layer, the temperature will increase when we go upwards because of this ozone layer. And this ozone layer also protects the people of earth from the UV rays which are coming from sun, right? And the stratosphere is also very stable and calm without any weather disturbances. The clouds will also be very minimal here in this layer, and because of the stable and calm nature only, the airplanes are flying in this layer. Airplanes, this stable environment provides the planes for a good flying conditions. That's why we see the commercial jets flying in the stratosphere region. Okay, fine. So after understanding regarding the ozone also, now we will understand immediately regarding the mesosphere. Mesosphere. So first we have troposphere, and then we have stratosphere, and then we are understanding currently the mesosphere. So it is present somewhere around a 50 to 80 kilometers above the surface of the earth. When we go to the upper altitudes in this specific layer only, the temperature will again starts decreasing. Okay, so in the troposphere, with the increasing of altitude, the temperature will decrease. In the stratosphere, with the increasing of altitude, the temperature will increase, right? And in the mesosphere, again with the increasing of altitude, the temperature will again decrease. So in the stratosphere, the temperature is decreasing, right? And in the stratosphere, it is increasing. And again in mesosphere, with the increasing of altitude, the temperature is decreasing. Okay, and this mesosphere is the coldest atmospheric layer in the atmosphere. Of all the layers, it is the coldest layer, right? And the meteors or the tiny fragments or rocks which are coming from space towards the earth surface will burn in this specific layer. Why? Because the air in the exosphere or thermosphere is very thin and the friction is also very less. But when these rocks enter this mesosphere, air density is enough in this mesosphere to cause the friction to the incoming rocks, which will in turn produces heats and burn the meteors in the space itself only. Okay, so after the mesosphere, we will understand regarding the thermosphere, and the layer that is separating mesosphere and thermosphere is mesopause. Okay, so the thermosphere is located in somewhere between 80 to 700 kilometers above the earth's surface, and the temperatures again here increases with the increasing in altitude. And this is called, this increasing of temperature because of increasing in the latitude is called as the negative lapse rate. Negative lapse rate. This happens because specifically the solar radiation, that is this radiation, that is the energy coming from sun, is absorbed by the oxygen and nitrogen molecules present in this specific layer, and which in turn release the energy. And various activities will be happening in this thermosphere also. For example, the International Space Station and several low Earth orbit satellites which will which will analyze the earth revolves in this specific layer of thermosphere. Okay, and there is a line called specifically called as the Karman line. What is this Karman line? Above 100 kilometers from the earth, within the thermosphere only, because the thermosphere is present in 80 to 700 kilometers range, right? So from above the surface of the earth, at about 100 kilometers above earth, within this thermosphere only, the Karman line is present. What is this Karman line? This is an official boundary between earth and the outer space, earth's atmosphere and the outer space, and this line is specifically recognized by the international convention. Beyond this line, beyond this Karman line, aerodynamic flight is no longer possible and only rockets are required. Okay, rockets are required or used. So after the thermosphere or within the thermosphere itself, we can see ionosphere. This is the part of thermosphere. So thermosphere is located from around 70 kilometers to some 700 kilometers around above the earth surface, and this ionosphere is present in 800 to 400 kilometers above the earth surface. That means it is the part of thermosphere itself only. Okay, and it is called as ionosphere because of the solar radiation, mainly the UV rays and X-rays, which ionize the air present here, which ionize the air particles present here, which means the atoms or molecules which are present in this layer, will lose the electrons of them, forming the charged particles, which in turn helps in the communication of human beings. Okay, and the next and the last one is the exosphere. So the exosphere is present after the thermosphere, which is 700 to 1000 kilometers or beyond this 1000 kilometers also. Okay, and it is the outermost layer of the earth's atmosphere, and it starts at somewhere around 400 kilometers range, and the air here is extremely thin, and the temperature rises gradually because this layer directly receives the solar radiation without much scattering. So when the sun's radiation is coming towards the earth, this is the first layer that is receiving that amount of heat, and the satellites in the medium earth orbit and the high earth orbit, which are used for GPS purposes, move easily here because there is no air drag and very limited amount of air is present here. So that is the exosphere. So these are all the different layers of atmosphere till now we have discussed, right? If you have any doubts or if you want to give any suggestions, please do comment in the comment section. It will help me a lot to improve myself and also help you guys. Thank you.